Yeah, so time for our breakfast menu this Tuesday morning. We've got a couple of topics here for you. At the bottom, Championship Champions Primed. That's about Wolves backing the underdog. That's about Leitrim / New York. Matters of principle, we'll talk about Chris Crummy, the Dublin hurling captain, talking about potentially going on strike. We'll play a video of that if strike gets called for the club players. But we're going to start with time to say goodbye, and this is about retirement. Obviously, it was a weekend of mass retirements in racing. You had Katie Walsh and Nina Carberry. We had in rugby, John Muldoon and a bunch of other players going as well. Was your decision to retire really straightforward in the end? It was like, I'm done, I've had enough? Or could you have eked out another season or two?
I could have easily probably done. You never quite know, I don't think, but I felt comfortably another year, probably two, without any significant injury.
Where was the last club you played for?
So I was at, I'll give you a brief one. I signed a 3-year deal at Bolton. 6 months into that deal, new manager came in, didn't see eye to eye. So the next season, because I was on a good contract at Bolton, I wasn't going to get that anywhere else. Came to some kind of resolution where I went on loan the following season to Brighton. Really liked my time there. Following season.
Who was at Brighton?
Who was the manager?
Yeah.
He's the Oscar Garcia. He's Barcelona B, then he went to Red Bull Salzburg. I'm not quite sure where he is at the moment.
Right, okay.
Liked him, really liked him. He left, unfortunately, because I was going to go back there. He left. Sammy Hippier came in and basically didn't want to sign me, so that was that. I wanted his own players, so that was fine. Then the next year, went back to Bolton for pre-season, so I was a bit of a like, yeah, come back in, what's the crack, yeah, you're right. And then Watford came in. So Watford were a good squad, kind of challenge. So I was like, yeah, no brainer. Let's go to Watford on loan. So then they had 4 managers in 32 days. The last one was, he's the Fulham manager now, Slavisa Jokanovic, and had a row with him. Bearing in mind I'd been assured you can, the following season, player coach role, under 21s. We wanted to be the under 21s manager at Watford.
Right.
Got on quite well with the hierarchy there.
So
I was already thinking about coaching.
Who at the hierarchy are you dealing with? Who's not the manager?
The owner.
All right.
The owner and the sporting director, so the Pozzo family, the sporting director.
So they're personally involved in the signing of you on loan, right?
Yeah, so the manager at Watford, even now, they don't have a say in who signs.
Okay.
So I signed under Beppe Sannino. He got the sack after about a month, 6 weeks. Then Oscar Garcia came in, who was my manager at Brighton.
You're like, happy days.
Exactly, happy days. Give me that armband, it was grand. And then Billy McKinley came in as his assistant. Oscar Garcia had a bit of a heart complaint, had to knock it on the head for medical reasons.
Balls.
Billy McKinley took over. He was in charge for 8 days. See you later, good luck. And here we go. So then
Jokanovic comes in at that point.
Yeah, Jokanovic comes in at that point, and then I'm playing regularly. Had an argument with him. I was on garden leave then for 2 months.
What about football?
Well, it was because I'd moved from Manchester down to Watford, season-long loan. I'm 33, I think I was at the time. I'd gone through all this managerial chain as a senior player in the dressing room. I'm kind of saying, look, let's just keep going. Look at the squad we've got. We've got a proper squad here. Let's not worry about that. Let's just keep things flowing and going. And so playing a senior role in the dressing room with the hierarchy and all the rest of it. I'm playing under Jokanovic, and then his way was on a Friday afternoon. Sorry, on a Friday when we were training, he would get somebody to put a squad up on the wall that was travelling. So we've all come back in from training. I looked at the squad because I'd played every game and I was involved. I'm not even travelling to this game. So I was like, grabbed that off the wall, went in to see him. He's outside having a smoke, had a bit of a ding dong, and then.
What did he say? Why you weren't travelling?
He just said, I can't even remember exactly what he said about not travelling. My issue wasn't the fact that I wasn't travelling.
He didn't come and talk to you.
Yeah, my issue was, look, I'm a senior player here. I'm playing all the time. Blah blah blah. Just show me a little bit of respect. You know, regardless of your decision, I might not like it, but at least I'll respect it. Just come and say it to me. But that obviously wasn't his way. Whether it is now, I don't know. He might have changed after the row we had. So we had our ding dong, and then
proper row, like screaming and.
Oh yeah.
And proper. People watching.
Yeah, like the owners and the people came out and all the rest.
Oh right.
So
okay, so there's no going back from that.
full on. And then...
What are you feeling after that? Are you feeling, shit, I shouldn't have gone so far? You're like, yeah, I did the right thing.
No, I wasn't feeling that at all, because I felt justified in terms of, I dealt with a lot of crap at that club in terms of trying to just ease things over, because the bigger picture was I wanted another promotion on my CV, so I wanted to keep us up in contention, and because I did feel we had a few options where to go that summer, and that was like, that excited me because they had proper players, like even the strike force was Vidra, Troy Deeney, Igalo, remember Igalo that season a few years ago, and Forestieri, so it was like goals on that team. We keep everything else sorted. They'll just shoot us into the Premier League. So no, I was fully justified, and then just got in my car, drove back home. I think I actually drove straight to Holyhead and came home for the weekend. Right. Long weekend.
And did the owners come and say, hey, the manager, we gotta, you know?
There was a bit of radio silence at the time, and then we think it's best if you stay away for the time being. Right. I was thinking, fine, I'll stay away. I think that was late November. And then I was thinking, okay, this is going on now. Went in and met them. They obviously backing the manager because he's just in charge. And then they were trying to, so it was a horrible triangle then really, because there was me, there was Bolton, and then there was Watford. So I'm still contracted to Bolton, but Watford are paying the percentage of the wages. Okay. So Bolton aren't going to relinquish anything of that. Yeah. And then in January, there was other teams coming in for me to try and break this loan deal and then take some of it on, but they weren't willing to pay what Watford were willing to pay. So then Bolton were saying, tough. Yeah. And in the meantime...
You're stuck.
I'm stuck, but then I was already concentrating on coaching. I'd done a bit of coaching at Watford. I'd been coaching in Brighton's academy and all the rest. And then MK Dons, I went in there and started doing a bit of training just to keep fit. And then they had offered me a role as a player coach with a coaching role at the end of it, and I wanted to do that. So they were obviously only willing to, or could only pay
a certain amount,
a fraction of what this deal was. So basically this was going on throughout January. I was in training undercover, like it was just mad. And then eventually on deadline day,
your Irish name, passport.
Andrew. Yeah, so we got there in the end on deadline day on the last day of January, but it was...
Was that a full transfer from Bolton, or was that like a loan?
It was still a loan till the end of the season, and then that was it. Right. But like, so basically during that time,
you made the decision to stop playing.
So that was January. By March, I couldn't do both. Yeah. Because we had Noel Hunt on here a couple of weeks ago, and he was a player coach at Wigan. So I was talking to him and saying, how are you finding that balance? Because I couldn't do it.
You just knackered the whole time.
Just, you feel... Like I felt like I couldn't commit to either fully. Like when you go coaching, I think it's just, it's everything. Yeah. It's 24/7. So I was ready for that. And by March, I didn't officially retire. Well, I didn't never officially retire, but I didn't until the following season. But by March, I played my last game, and then I wasn't on the bench again, and made the decision just to focus on, because we had a good team, we were going for promotion, the midfield was very good, it was Dele Alli, Darren Potter.
Not bad.
Exactly, and then ahead of that there was really good attacking players, so the midfield was sorted. Trying to sandwich me into that midfield, the balance of the team wasn't right anyway, so it was a bit unselfish in a way, because I could have played more games, but I was focused on the retirement and then on coaching, and then obviously the rest is history.
Yeah, and the decision not to keep coaching, was that easy enough to make?
That was a year at MK Dons, so that following season had a full year. We'd got promotion, so we were in the championship. So I had really, like, in terms of the responsibility, I had considered it was my first full year coach, and it was like brilliant. I was in charge of all the attacking patterns and set pieces, different bits and bobs, full of every day with the first team. So I loved it. I loved the time on the grass. I loved the time with the players, improving the younger players, trying to improve them. Obviously, you can only improve players if they want to improve. But then at the end of that year, there was different things that were just grating on me that I didn't agree with in terms of how the club was run, certain factors in the club. And I just felt it was right that I looked elsewhere. So that's when I went and started to do a lot with the FAI and coaching the underage teams, and then I had a bit of a gap year. I said it to you before, I felt like a student. So I had a gap year where I started to do more media, because you're still seeing games and looking at games, and then keeping your eye in, and then went with the FAI, and then it kind of just went from that in terms of the media, and the balance of my life, where I've never had that, was just nicer. Yeah. Family time. Yeah. Moved back to Ireland, spent more time in Ireland first and foremost, then moved back. So it was just, it's not pulling on me as much as it was when I first had that little break.
It definitely feels like getting involved in coaching straight away is a nice way to kind of...
Bit of a segue.
Yeah, to decompress.
Yeah.
And then go, okay, I've tried that a little bit. Because I think Stephen Reid went straight into coaching and then took a while out and then went back in.
Yeah.
And that decision to go back in, and he's committed to it, and it looks like he's committed to it. And if you go back in, you'll clearly be committed to it. But at least you'll have gone, I've seen what real life is like.
Yeah, well, I think if I went retired, holiday, straight into media, I think there would be something in me that was saying, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to try it, you need to be a manager. Whereas now I'm quite happy, I've tried it. Obviously I haven't tried management, but I've sampled it, and I've sampled both of them. Yeah. And the balance at the moment, look, who knows? You never know what way it's going to go, and opportunities pop up or whatever, but I'm quite content.
Never say never. All right, topic number 2, matters of principle. This is the Dublin hurling captain Chris Crummey saying that if the Club Players Association or a similar body decided to go on strike for club players, that he'd be on board. Have a look.
The only thing that unites every player at inter-county level is the fact that at one level, every one of them are club players. The Club Players Association, they're desperately trying to rectify issues surrounding the calendar. There's talk of maybe a strike. Could you see players backing that in solidarity? Would you strike in solidarity? Would you be part of that if that's the road they wanted to go down?
To be honest, if I'm a member of Club Players Association, and if the vote came that we had to strike, then I would. Like, I can see there's definitely a lot of issues that need to be ironed out. Within the club scene, the fixtures, absolutely, it's very hard. Like, if you look at Dublin, for example, it's been well documented that some clubs have been who are out after the 2 games and don't really have much to play for now for the rest of the year, which is, to be honest with you, only 2 league games played and 2 championship games. I don't think that's right, to be honest with you, and I think something needs to be done about that. I think the calendar year needs to be sorted and needs to be rearranged to give club players something to aim for within those summer months. So I promise I probably would, yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Very few people actually come out and said, yeah, I would strike for it. Did you ever go on strike with the PFA over anything?
We've had a couple of issues where bonuses at the start of a season. So basically, your bonuses are in place for this season, right? You come back for pre-season, and say, for instance, you've got a weaker squad than you did last year, investment's not there. You feel like that maybe they should be upped or incentivised more. So if you renegotiate, so you sit down, normally the players will kind of have a meeting and they'll go, right, here's what we're going to pitch for. We'll go for X, Y, Z. Then a committee or the captain and the vice captain would go and speak with the chief executive, the owner, sporting director, whatever the format is at that particular club. And if you cannot come up with some kind of solution, they revert back to last year's contract. So there's a bit of cat and mouse, there's a bit of toing and froing. And there's been a couple of times when players together have gone, look, this isn't acceptable. You know, we're not getting the commitment. We had at MK Dons a few years ago where I was in a very awkward position as the coach at this stage. Ooh. But the players knew my type of character in terms of I'm looking at these bonuses and I'm seeing them and I'm thinking they are shit because you're getting paid the lowest in the league and your bonuses are the lowest in the league. So it was like, but then I'm obviously stuck in the middle now where I've got players here, chief exec, owner, blah, blah, blah. So it's a bit of a balancing act. So it was like, so I'm speaking to the players and going, look, you know what I'd do. Because I wouldn't have had it. I would have kicked down doors because it was embarrassing. Yeah. So there's been issues like where, not proper strike, but maybe refusing to do player appearances, refusing to go and do the bits and bobs in the with sponsors and, you know, that would affect the club and make the club look not great in the community and things like that. But never gone to
proper all-out strike.
Full-blown strike, yeah.
That is interesting. Okay, so our next topic here is backing the underdog. So if you don't know, the football championship starts at the weekend. It is starting in New York. Johnny Ward's going to be there to cash in on his bet. If you're a friendly immigration officer, it's okay, it's all legit, as he explained to us on the show yesterday. So New York against Leitrim. New York ordinarily would be 6 to 10 point underdogs. They're 1 point underdogs in this. This is one of the few occasions where Leitrim get to be favourites, and for a while there it looked like they weren't going to be favourites. Why do we love the underdog so much? What is it about the underdog struggles that we as Irish people like?
We've always been the underdogs, haven't we? It's exactly what it is. That's what it stems from. Like, for me, it goes back to, and it was interesting seeing Ray Houghton. It's like Euro 88 was the first one that I would have watched, and that's the first one we could all watch. But in terms of the major tournaments, like bits of 86, but then obviously for us it was 88. And then going into that game as the underdogs, as the unfancy team, we see it year on year out, don't we, in terms of World Cups and FA Cup finals or whatever ties. You want the romantic storyline, don't you?
Yeah.
I think that's what it stems from.
Like, and I think particularly in Ireland, like unless you're a Kerry football fan, then you haven't really had a lifetime of success. Or maybe if you're a Kilkenny hurling fan.
Yeah, I was supposed to say, they don't
Dublin
know.
football fans are starting to get a bit like blasé about the whole thing.
I'm not.
Here's Jamie Clark. That's the reason why. He's the one-man reason why. Will he rip it up against Leitrim? Yes, he will. By all accounts, he's going pretty well in training. We hope to hear from Jamie Clark in advance of that game this weekend as well. Alan O'Mara is out there. Unfortunately, has done his cruciate, so won't be playing for New York. But we'll be talking to them a little bit later on this week. And so our final Tuesday morning breakfast menu, Championship Champions Primed. This is Wolves, your former club, linked with a 38 to /40 million move for Jack Butland in the summer. Going to be promoted with like all sorts of records. They're not bad, and they have the money, and they seem to have the right squad, and they've got a good progressive young manager. Yeah,
they've been one of the top 2 to 3 championship teams of all time, I think, considering it's been going we're about 15, 18 years, maybe something like that. The nucleus already of a very good side to go into the Premiership. Very good side.
The 20-year-old kid is supposed to be a superstar.
Ruben Neves. There's been a bit of controversy over the relationship of Jorge Mendes, the super agent, looks after Nuno Espirito Santo, the manager, and then the group that own Wolves. There's a bit of a link, shall we say.
Yeah.
But look, we've seen it before. Like, I was at Watford before, and the clubs, the owner owns Granada, owns Udinese, so there's all that type of little merry-go-round. What Wolves have done, I've said to you before about Derby County, saying there's no guarantees just because you spend money that you're going to be successful. He's gone in there, he overhauled the squad, and he went from playing whatever system we were playing, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, 3-4-3 from day one in pre-season, got them clicking. Matt Doherty, Conor Cody, John Ruddy, Bennett. There's a nucleus of Irish, English core spine, and then he's added all this flair. And you've mentioned about Neves. Neves is the best player I've ever seen in the Championship, and he's 21 now. He's just gone 21. He is phenomenal.
Stick him on your fantasy team next year. That good?
Definitely.
Will he keep Doherty? The fact that he's interested in signing Butland, or the club is, or whoever is interested in signing Butland, however that whole relationship actually works, it suggests that players like Doherty have a chance of being part of the squad and part of the team next year, as opposed to, we're not going to sell many Matt Doherty bedspreads.
No, look, I think they're in a different position than, say, last year when Newcastle, Huddersfield and Brighton went up, where they kept the nucleus of their team. They're in a position where if they wanted to, I think financially they could rip it up and go again. But I think Matt Doherty and Douglas, they've been the two best. They play wing backs, so they're like wingers really. Defensively, they'll need to be a lot better next season, because they do play like a back three at times next year. If he wants to play that system, it's going to be a back five, and you're going to have to do a lot more defending, obviously. But can Matt Doherty play in the Premier League for Wolves next year? Absolutely. Will there be additions that might threaten his place? Yeah, because it's the only position that they've been a little bit vulnerable in this year. They've had adequate replacements everywhere else apart from those wing back positions.
How soon does Doherty get into the Ireland team, or does he?
Seamus Coleman.
Can we play that way? Can we play like a...
I don't know. I feel for him, because Seamus is our best player. It's as simple as that. And then Matt Doherty can't
be a Denis Irwin also.
Well, he played last season at left back in a back four, and was more than comfortable coming in on his right foot at Denis Irwin. So he has got versatility. But it's going to be difficult. He's probably just got ahead of Cyrus Christie on form. Well, on form, he's by far ahead of Cyrus Christie in terms of club form, because Cyrus has had a quiet season at Middlesbrough and Fulham behind Ryan Fredericks, the right back who's played very well at Fulham. But I think next season Cyrus will kick on because Ryan Fredericks is out of contract in the summer. So I think he was a purchase for ongoing, not just for this season. But Matt Doherty's had a great season.